Riverside County, California. August 29th, 2006, deputies are called to a remote area of the Gavilan Hills, where a witness has discovered an abandoned vehicle. At the scene, police speak to the witness who discovered the vehicle and encounter a shocking scene.
When you looked in the trunk, describe it for me.
Well, my initial thought was, well, there's big plastic bags. It basically, it looked like a foot or something. Just closed everything. I freaked out.
The person who discovered the car saw an opportunity, saw what looked like an abandoned car, looked inside, found some items, and thought that he would take them, make a little money off them, and then saw one of the bodies and got cold feet.
I raced to my car and started up. I raced home as quickly as possible. And I ran up to my stepdad. I told him I found a dead body in the trunk. They'd call the police.
It's remote, but not far off the beaten path. A lot of times, vehicles get dumped up there that are stolen, perhaps stripped. His purpose in being around the car was suspect, of course, but nevertheless was truthful about the fact that he was in that car. But the real reason why he was there, I think he was just trying to rummage through it and make a quick getaway with a couple of things that he could get his hands on.
It was very hot. It was August in the summer, over 100 degrees. We all met at the command post, and then from there, the responding deputies gave us a brief.
We found several sets of shoe impressions, several sets of tire impressions. We compared those to the people that we knew had been in the scene, and we eliminated them. But we were left with 2 people and 1 vehicle that were unknown. We looked in the trunk, and I pulled the blanket back, and I can see a naked man, face down. He's hogtied, his hands and feet behind his back, and he has all this stuff around his face, and it's just random stuff. It's plastic bags and leather belts and electrical cords and telephone cords, and there's a black bra. And I just thought, you know, my God, this guy, whoever he is, he died a horrible death.
One of the items that we saw was pink duct tape. I had never seen pink duct tape before. This was the first time I had ever seen pink duct tape. We examined the sheets and the comforter, blankets.
I was saying, you know something, this looks like motel sheets. We kind of looked at it, we take photographs, and then from there, we start peeling off the layers.
When we pulled this body up out of the trunk to further examine him, I looked back in the trunk and said, oh my God, there's another body in there. It's another male, but he's smaller. This guy's face up, but he's also naked, he's hogtied, and he's got the same type of just random stuff wrapped around his face.
After the initial work at the Gavilan Hills crime scene, the bodies are transported to the coroner's office for autopsies, but the identities of the 2 men were unknown.
One of the key pieces of evidence that we had there was the vehicle. It was a Honda Accord, and we had a license plate number that had registration information on that vehicle. So I was tasked with find out who the registered owner is of this vehicle so that we could at least go and try and contact them.
The registered owner said, I sold that car. They went to the next person. I sold that car. And finally, they came to the owner of the car who had lent it to his friends so they could go to the bar the day or so before.
The other residents of the house are able to identify the victims as Milton Chavez and his friend Marvin Gabriel. Both are from Guatemala.
Milton Chavez and Martin Gabriel borrowed a friend's cell phone. The next day, the owner of the phone finds that he's not heard from these guys, doesn't know what happens, calls his own phone number, and a woman answers the phone, which should not be happening. And later in the day, he called, and a man whose voice he didn't know answered the phone. At that point, he thought the phone had been stolen, and he cut off service altogether.
We had a list of motel hotels that we were going to contact the management and just to see if we can determine where the victims, if they had been at these locations or not. At the end of the day, we were done. We hit every motel that was on our list, but on the way back to the office, all of a sudden, Detective Martinez kind of made a hard left turn into what was the National Motel. And we followed, and when we got out, we're like, what the hell were you doing, or what's going on? And I was like, this place wasn't on the list.
It was not on Google Maps, probably because it was just a motel that's been there for a while that nobody really goes to.
We went over to the office and talked to the clerk and asked him, hey, if you had some people tearing up the rooms or you had missing linen and destroyed property, vandalism. And he said, yeah, told us that, yeah, he just threw out a couple people out from the room 114.
He said they stole the comforters, they broke my vacuum cleaner, they stole the cord off of it, but they wanted to borrow the other one, but they broke the handle on this other vacuum cleaner, but they fixed it with pink duct tape.
At the room, Detective Ron Waters speaks to the new resident of the room, a man called Scott.
Ended up going inside, and that's where we found Scott, who was actually down on his hands. He's doing some work on electrical outlet, and he turned back and looked, and that's when he mentioned, oh, you guys must be here for the 2 dead bodies.
We had that look on our face where he kind of said, uh-oh. I probably stuck a foot in my mouth, and we're like, we need to talk to you. So we ended up talking to him. He says, I'm trying to get the room cleaned up to move my family into this room. I wasn't involved.
The 2 people that were in this room before, a male and a female, the female, her name was Crazy, but she had 2 other friends with her, another black female and another black male named Omar.
They picked him up under the pretense that she was in the cellar to these dudes.
Where did they pick him up?
Somewhere on 6, I think.
They strangled the son of a with pillowcases on the bed. They were getting in a fight, tripping for the back and forth right in front of me.
Who's they?
Her and her old man.
The investigating team had made a major breakthrough. It appeared the room had been left in disarray by Crazy.
There were obvious signs of ripped out wires, phone lines that were consistent with the items retrieved from the victims' bodies. A lot of damage there. There was actually some of the pink duct tape inside the room to tape up cords or maybe a hole in the wall.
Based on the information we had, we were able to secure arrest warrants for the arrest of Omar Hutchinson and Franchon Epps and Crazy.
I know she was from the Norco area and contacted her mother. Her mom told me straight out, Investigator Masson, you have to be careful with my daughter. She'll hurt you.
The members of the Inland Regional Apprehension Team successfully located Omar Hutchinson and Brooke Rodiers and Franchon Epps in the Orange County area, and they were able to take them into custody successfully without incident.
After Brooke requests an attorney, detectives have to stop interviewing her, so they return to the National Inn on South Lincoln Avenue to follow up on a significant witness statement regarding the night of the murder.
A woman staying in the same motel as Rodiers said that Rodiers had told her what she had done and that she kind of liked it.
Brooke came over to our room, knocked on our door with her 2 kids and said, could you just take care of them? And literally before they said anything, she dropped her children off and ran back into the room.
Omar Hutchinson speaks to the detectives and reveals more information about what happened on the night of August 28th.
So on this particular Saturday, Milton and Marvin, they had received their paycheck. They wanted to go and have a night out on the town. They decided to go to El Paraíso Bar. And what we had determined was that Brooke was also there at the bar and used that bar to pick up guys and turn tricks because she was a prostitute. Brooke, Melvin, and Marvin had agreed to go back to the hotel. What we believe was for some type of prostitution services between all 3. Omar Hutchinson was in the room along with Franchon Epps and waiting for them.
Omar tells the detectives that Milton and Marvin were not as submissive as their attackers had expected them to be.
And I believe during that fight, Brooke ended up sustaining an injury. She ended up getting so upset that these guys were fighting back that she put her foot on her mouth and smothered them to death. She ties them up, they wrap them up in blankets. She opens up the trunk and puts the bodies in the trunk. And they drove up there, and the only reason that the car was where it was located was that she ran off the road, got the car stuck in an embankment. We put the case together, and now we present it to the DA's office.
We were able to get a successful prosecution on all 3 of them.
Brooke Rodiers, Omar Hutchinson, and Franchon Epps were all found guilty for the murders of Marvin Gabriel and Milton Chavez. Hutchison and Epps received life in prison without parole, while Rodgers was sentenced to death.